the 2-week upgrade. How do we get there? How do we plan for it? And then how do we execute it? Okay, so let me just get the right tab. So this is usually how it feels when you're N-1, and many customers are in that position. So how do we get to that a current version, and how do we then maintain that and then schedule 2 upgrades per year so that we can always manage the timing of it without feeling like we have a tornado coming for us? Okay, so my name is Chris Schuh. I'm known as the ServiceNow magician. I'm a ServiceNow certified master architect. I have a couple suite certifications and a few mainline certifications as well. And my personal mission is to deliver ServiceNow solutions that work just like magic. We have a bunch of things to get through today, but don't worry, it is quick and we will get through all of it. Okay. So, how do we plan effectively for ServiceNow upgrades? Well, we have to start 6 to 8 weeks in advance so that we can start scheduling everything and lining up not just IT, but also the business. We can need to plan and have our regression testing plan established as well. We need to communicate effectively to not just IT, but like I said earlier, also to the business so that they know what changes are coming, what areas to focus on. Oh, yeah, Jeff. So the 2 weeks mention is more about the execution piece. Yeah, so we'll get to that as well. We need to update our project schedules as well so that we can start baking this into any existing implementation work or implementation projects that we have, and schedule that UAT well in advance. So I've seen many customers struggle with this 2-week upgrade plan because what they're doing is saying, okay, I've upgraded the test or the UAT instance. Now let's try and book people to do their testing, and they're just not available for a week or two. Then we want to move into trying to upgrade twice per year. The benefits from doing this means we can stagger them 3 months, 3 to 4 months after the release, which gives us a more stable product, and it gives us the flexibility on the scheduling side of things. That'll give us some extra runway so that if we have a project or a go live that's happening, say in November or December, we can do the upgrade in January, planning in advance, and then maybe our next one is going to be in May. And then we have to address deprecations. So telling the business what is going to be deprecated and having that path forward for it will also improve the smooth upgrade process. So cloning is one of the critical pieces that you have to establish so that you can build and test your upgrades correctly. So practice is the first thing that you need to do. I recommend a sandbox instance, but if you can sneak in a clone and a rollback over a weekend if you don't have a sandbox instance available. And that will help you grow your maturity when it comes to your cloning journey. So a trustable, mature clone process will shorten your upgrade times because then you can clone and process the clone in a single day, or in some cases, I've seen it done in half a day. And then plan the rollbacks. So nobody freaks out when it's part of the plan. So I always bake in the rollback of a clone into any clone plan just in case. And then I decide if I need to roll back or not. The sandbox advantage. So a sandbox instance helps us in many, many ways and adds tremendous value, not just to upgrades, but also to your entire ServiceNow experience. So how do we leverage this? It addresses the following challenges: that you're unable to upgrade a true production clone. Your upgrade impacts your implementation, and your upgrades impact UAT. So therefore, if the outcomes we get, we can clone prod over the sandbox and upgrade it right away and get a real preview of what that upgrade will look like. Upgrading your sandbox, you can do so on your any timeline, and you can use it for your clone practicing, and you can execute your critical UAT in the sandbox early on. Javier, I see that. There are options to purchase a fourth instance and label it a sandbox. There is a strong business case for that, and this contributes to that. So You'll be able to measure your sandbox success and performance by being able to include it in additional project planning, including your upgrades. It will see an improvement into your upgrade timelines. You'll see a reduction of delivery interruptions, meaning your dev and your test, the UAT instances can still move forward with implementation efforts while you're working out of your sandbox, and an overall reduction. So let's talk about keeping that instance healthy now to maintain and improve your upgrade experience. So managing your monthly patches and your store apps is critical as well, because the less skip changes I need to process related to my upgrade, the easier it will become. So I recommend that you pick a day, usually Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, but it needs to be consistent. And you do your patches and you're updating your store apps on that regular day, so that the project and implementation teams can build it into their planning as well. Okay, so there's some important tools out there related to updating your store apps. So there's a store update streamliner app created by Whitebrick, just got released this year. It's very cool. It does work, and it does help automate those store app updates. And then there's another SN wizard, Eric Reimer, who wrote some code that you can just download and put into your instance and execute it to do the updates as well. Okay, so upgrade management. Let's discuss what we do to be successful when we leverage the upgrade center. So this tool helps us out in addressing a preview. So it helps. How can I preview an upgrade? Well, you can do that through the upgrade center. It does help you plan and track your upgrade. And I have seen some comments on in the chat here about people struggling to use the upgrade planner. We can discuss that in the booth later on. And they're manually processing skip changes multiple times. So Upgrade Center offers us some solutions to address these challenges. So you'll be able to preview your predicted changes through Upgrade Center, and that'll give you some visibility to measure your perceived upgrade effort, but it will not be as true as cloning production and upgrading it. It allows you to build, install, and apply an upgrade plan. Just like we're working with clones and practicing those, you need to practice and build with that as well. This is another use case and benefit of having a sandbox. You're free to experiment. You're free to try things out, roll it back, clone things over at will without interrupting delivery in the normal instance pipeline. And you can use skipped record rules to automatically process things. An example of this is if the item you have or the artifact that shows up as a skipped record is inactive, and that's the only change you've made, you can automate the updating of the code and then resetting it back to inactive, all in an automated fashion through a skipped record rule. And this will drastically reduce the amount of manual processing you need to do for the skipped changes. You'll be able to measure your success by seeing an increase in targeted UAT because you're previewing your upgrade and you're seeing how that will impact your specific use of the instance. You'll have an increase into your upgrade impact visibility and be able to report that not just to IT, but also to the business, which will therefore reduce your upgrade risk and it will reduce your upgrade effort. To accelerate regression testing, Automated Test Framework is a great tool to use, not just for upgrades, but also for monthly patching and for just simply regular maintenance of your solutions. So this is how we can accelerate the testing process is through the Automated Test Framework. And it addresses the challenges that testing can be a manual process, especially UAT. It is prone to human mistakes or any manual mistakes. And then also documenting it. I mean, if we're being honest, few people document full tests and then store that and then refer back to it later because it's usually dumped into Confluence or SharePoint or some other source. So the outcomes we're looking to achieve out of this is the ATF test suites for IT and the business. So you're testing for two different audiences here. And then you can have automatically executed tests, which are more reliable, reduce your manual errors. And then you can have the automatic documentation of those ATFs, including screenshots and things like that, so that if anyone needs to go back and look, you've got that history. And you'll see an increase in executed tests to measure your success, an increase in testing accuracy because you're removing some of the manual elements, and your testing and UAT efforts and your upgrade related issues will be reduced. Finally, we need to discuss organizational change management. How do we socialize this upgrade with the business and with IT? So you need to have effective OCM for ServiceNow upgrades. You want to showcase the upgrade's value. So with your preview, you'll see here's the new features that we're getting, and here's what we can do once this upgrade is completed. Finally, you want to make sure that you communicate the what's in it for me to your audience. Show the business specifically how their lives will be better after this upgrade, and that will help increase your buy-in. You want to communicate your upgrade metrics. Are we getting better? Are we staying the same? How long is it taking compared to the last time? And remember, it's practicing the upgrade. So to get to the 2-week upgrade, you may need to upgrade 3 or 4 times to get better. But are you getting better or worse will help showcase to the not just IT, but the business that you are getting better at this. You are improving and making sure that all of the features and capabilities are still enabled. And then you have to offer ongoing support. Those first few weeks, just like after a go live, you need to be there. You need to hold hands. You need to share screens. You need to look and listen, and then solution and offer that support to the business. This is a partnership between IT and the business, and they'll need to be a part of that. So make sure that you are there, highly available. I usually block off hypercare for this and offer that support and kind of on call like a firefighter. And there's no issue too small that I won't jump on a call to help work on with someone. We've got a couple timeline examples to review here. So a typical upgrade schedule would start the first week of the month. You have these blackouts. You would move to your test, you do your UAT, and then you make a go, no-go decision in the 4th week of the month, do your upgrade, then you do a validation period, and then finally you move into that hypercare, and then the hypercare would continue into the following month. So this is a very common starting point. If you're here or if your upgrade timeline is a little longer, that is okay. Okay. So a 2-week upgrade schedule looks like this. You clone your sandbox, validate, do your upgrade. You clone and upgrade dev. And this is when the timeline starts. So the blackout is the most expensive part of the dev of the actual upgrade process. So we're starting that on the 2nd Wednesday of the month. You do your validations the next couple days. Then you clone and upgrade test. Here on the on the first Monday, and then I see on the Wednesday you've got a pink one as well. That's another validation piece that you can do if you wish to regression test or make any changes. You can migrate those, and then you're making your go no go and upgrading prod after 2 weeks after you start cloning and upgrading your dev instance, and then of course the hypercare piece kicks in. So that would reduce your instance blackout periods significantly. So the key takeaways here. First off, you have to plan in advance and schedule in advance. So while the actual blackout period and the whole process may last longer than the 2 weeks, the actual process and execution can get shortened down. You need to communicate effectively with the entire business and IT well in advance, book scheduling for UAT, make sure that everybody's engaged and they know what's in it for them when it comes to this upgrade. And then finally, execute smoothly and always work relentlessly to drive an improved execution process that is built upon communication and planning. Thank you so much. I'll be in the booth, so please feel free to stop by if you have any other questions, if you need anything else. Yes, we will be sharing the deck through the booth. And again, it's been an honor. Thank you for spending some time with me. We really appreciate it.